Well, while we're waiting for a few more people, we'll wait a few more minutes. Just kind of welcome everyone who's here so far. I wanted to let people know that we are recording the meeting. And I would love it if people want to keep their cameras on. We've been doing this Zoom for too long, everyone. We're so happy to see faces again. And since we can't get together, seeing a face is the next best thing, of course, but you do what makes you most comfortable. But all of the speakers tonight will be, on all the time. So, but I'm Krista. I will reintroduce myself in a little while, but I'm Krista Lauritsen, the director of the American College of Norway, and we're so pleased to have you here. And our greatest hope is that we will actually see your face, not on Zoom, either in this summer, fall, or the spring. So thank you for joining us. Thank you. Should we wait just to 5 after? Tara and Heidi, what do you think?
Missed it.
Yeah.
I'm having audio difficulties. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you fine.
Loud
I
and clear.
can't hear you.
Okay.
I'm going to leave and join again.
We'll look for you and admit you right away. I say as the person who doesn't really know how to admit people, but admit. Are you there, Amy? Did you want to test your sound?
Yeah. Yeah, we're good now. We're going to mute. We're going to lower our volume. We got it so good.
Okay. All right. And I see that Selena is there. Hello, Selena. We'll come back to you. Okay. Well, I'd like to just start, and we'll kind of keep an eye on whether people need to be admitted a little bit late. But again, we're so pleased to have as many of you as could join us today. And then I guess I could say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We had some people that might even have been joining us from Hawaii. So we're kind of spanning the globe. It's very exciting to us. We would like to start by first welcoming all of you, but making a couple of quick introductions here. Tara, if you want to do the next slide, we're going to show you how we're going to go forward in the evening, our time. And I'm the executive director of the program, Krista Lauritsen. We have our academic advisor with us as well. That's Heidi Benjaminson. Heidi, you want to give a little wave to everyone?
Hello. I will say hello. So the camera switches over to me. Hello, I'm Heidi.
Heidi. We have Dr. Tammy Carmichael from the University of North Dakota as well. Tammy.
Hello, everyone.
No. And then Tara Bomberg, who's the marketing and events coordinator on our end. And then we have a past student of ours, Selena. I'm gonna wave. We'll come back to you. And Victoria, you're out there too. Just saw you in my office a minute ago. So we're the bulk of the program, and we would like then to invite all of you to stay for the entire time if you can. If you have questions, you can throw them up in the chat and we'll try to get to them. At the end, we will take all the time that anyone needs for question and answer as well. So if you want to kind of hang on to your questions, because we may be addressing them as we go along. Otherwise, like I said, put them up in the chat and one of us will catch that. I'll just tell you briefly, I'm actually a Minnesotan. I've lived in Norway for almost 30 years. It's a wonderful place to be, and it's my pleasure to welcome students every year to be able to show them this beautiful country, which is a lot like Minnesota, I have to say. So both good places to live. And the American College of Norway has been around for almost 30 years. We'll be celebrating our 30th anniversary next year. And so it's going to be a year of celebrations. We're very excited. So the program tonight will start off with just a little bit from each of us. It's a little bit different order than what you see on the screen right now. I'll just tell you generally about the American College. Heidi will tell you more about what she does for academic advising. Then we're going to hear a little bit from Tara, and then we'll bring up Dr. Carmichael again, and then you'll be able to meet our students. So we'll do a little flip side. But Tara, if you could go to the next slide. There we are. So what you're looking at in the background there is the American College of Norway. We're located mainly, our classrooms and most offices are in the white edition that you see there. But I am actually speaking to you from the first floor of the window right under the word American, where you see the green plant in there. And that is, we're in a building that's historical. It's called the Konvensjonsgården, and it's where the Convention of Moss was signed in 1814. It was drafted here, and that's a little bit longer history lesson, but it's really fun to be in a building. The building is older than the Constitution that made it famous, but it's just fun to be in a building that's a couple hundred years old, and it's an amazing place. It's just lovely, as is Moss, the city of Moss, which is a little bit south of Oslo, when Tara will tell you more about that. But we've been here in Moss since 1992. And the gentleman who started the American College of Norway was a vice president in the Norwegian Business Association here in Norway. And he had a love of America. He got his PhD in the United States at Columbia, and he wanted to start a program of cross-cultural study with Norway and another non-Nordic country. So he felt that Norway had plenty of exchange programs with Sweden and Denmark, so he really wanted to turn to the United States. So he went to the US and kind of really went cold calling and knocked on the doors of some of the schools in the Midwest, just mentioning what he was thinking about. And the University of North Dakota said, yes, they would love to try to work with the American College of Norway. So that's how the whole thing started. And the American College was founded in 1989, but didn't come to the first school year until 92, 93. And we've been here ever since. We kind of have a good recipe, if I might add that type of a terminology to it. We have two students here, two types of students. One is a Norwegian student who comes to the American College with the idea of going to the United States and finishing a bachelor's, master's, or a PhD. Some of those Norwegian students have been in the United States before, perhaps for a high school year. Some of them have family, but generally they have this dream of the United States. We also have American students as study abroad students, and they come for a semester. More and more often they're staying for a full year. And then we have the students that come for a summer school program, or all three. So they're looking for some different things as they come, as a study abroad student or as a student going for a full degree abroad. But we have come to a lovely compromise, I would say, in what we can offer the students so that everybody's getting something out of the program that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. So when the American students come here, it's usually because they want the American college credits. When Americans decide to go abroad, often they'll do it for the experience, and then they realize that the credits maybe don't transfer back. But we've spent a lot of time making sure that all of our credits would transfer back to the American university system. And Heidi, and I believe Dr. Carmichael will also talk about that more when coming up, but I just wanted to mention that that's one of the things that we base the American College of Norway on. We also wanted to make sure that the Norwegians had a good foundational year when they come here before going over. Norwegians are wonderful at speaking English, and often they know exactly what they want, but it's really important for them to get the general education requirements and to get a little taste of all of the different things that they can study in the United States. So by offering the type of classes that we do in the order that we offer them, it's giving both Americans and Norwegians and other international students a really nice basis to continue in education on. So while students are here, the Norwegians in particular will be getting guidance on what universities to choose in the United States. And there are so many to choose from. And there are just as many price tags as there are universities and application processes. And then, you know, some people may have an aunt in Seattle that they want to get closer to, or someone went to high school in Oklahoma and want to go back to their friends, and that's fine. But we have students every year who don't know where they want to go. So we start talking about academic programs and, you know, right down to lifestyle and how do you want to live? You want to live in a big city, you know, small city, big school, small school. So while they're getting those credits here, we can help them make a wise decision about where they want to study. So we also help with the application process, and Heidi will talk a little bit more about that again. I'm sorry, I keep referring to you, Heidi. You have a big program to take over here, but application process to the US can be arduous, and so our Norwegians get help with all of that from the beginning to the end. For American students coming here, we try to make it very easy for them to slide into the system, and we make sure that they get help with everything from visas, so before they come, to transferring back their credits to whatever university or college that they want to go back to. So we try to make this a very comfortable and easy process. Each year we admit up to 70 students, so we're not looking to be a big, huge program, and we feel the intimacy of the program lends itself to all the things that we can offer students, and we believe that it helps the students to have a much more, what should I say, program that will suit each one of you. So, so why choose the American College of Norway? One oddly ironic benefit of studying at the American College of Norway is that you're going to get to know Norwegian students. When I was a student at the University of Trondheim, there were 5 of us in the international program, and I got to know those people very well, and I still am in touch with them. But I didn't really get to know Norwegian students. But here, everybody's in the same boat and everybody's excited to be together. So our Norwegian students are inviting the Americans to their cabins, their hytter or home, or showing them around, or being really good hosts. And we think that that's a really important part for Americans or international students coming to Norway, is to get to know more of the culture. We also offer what we call a living learning community. So the majority of the students live in our housing facilities, our residence halls, getting to know one another. Tara will tell you more about them. You'll see a couple of pictures from them later. But as much as humanly possible, we will try to pair a Norwegian and American together. So we'll see if that works, or if you have a requirement or request for a roommate, we'd be happy to put that together as well. But at the same time as you're taking your classes together, you're also living together, and you're going to be talking about things after classes. It's so important to us that the learning continue into the evenings. All the students have access to the school building here and can do studying here, working, or work on presentations, or just hang out. So the groups are small enough so that I would say that they're moving as a cohort. So if one student needs to go downtown or wants to go grocery shopping, often you'll see 15 students going downtown and going grocery shopping, because they're just hanging out and getting to know each other. All of our classes are held in English. Our faculty are from the United States, so English is the working language here. That's also a benefit for our Norwegian students because they're going to be learning an academic English or using an academic English that they might not have had opportunity to look into before. It's also for the American students a nice way to think about coming abroad. Oftentimes American students won't know a second language well enough to do university studies, so they'll choose English or Australia, which is lovely. But to come to the American College of Norway, you don't have to know Norwegian. You can pick up some Norwegian while you're here or go in depth with classes depending upon how long you want to stay. But we'll put you in a forum that you're comfortable with so that you can use the American College of Norway and English classes and the setting here, and then go out and explore in Norway. So you have a basis, a very comfortable cultural basis. Again, I mentioned the smooth transition to and from the US. As you are admitted, we'll start talking about visas, and that's a process that you have to start in the United States, and it's typical administration. So you have to be doing A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way to Z, but we'll help you with that. We talk about how much you need to think about funding, that kind of thing, all the way to, in the end, how do you get your transfer credits back to the United States and get a transcript. The University of North Dakota is our school of record, so you would get a transcript from the University of North Dakota, which is well recognized everywhere. So that's a really nice way to do it. If you are in touch with us and you're already attending the university and your university wants to work out direct transfer of credits, we can do that as well. We offer really small class sizes, which is, if any of you have taken university classes, that's when you're really in a setting where you get to work together, learn together, and get to know each other. Our program is very affordable. We're much less than most universities in the United States. So we feel very comfortable with the tuition that we have for our students. And Norway is not an inexpensive country to live in, so it's nice to be able to say that your tuition is quite low. And then we kind of ended with a general something called the global network. So the people that you meet here are the people that you're going to be in touch with for life. We have, actually, I want to say that I'm an academic grandma. We have the son of one of the students from the very first year who has started with us this year. So he's attending now. I guess that's making me seem very old, but we have siblings and we have cousins and we have neighbors, and our biggest recruiting tool is word of mouth. And I think that says a lot about the American College of Norway and what it gives students and the network that you keep forever. So we can talk a little bit more about that, and Tara and Heidi and Selena, I'm sure you as an alum will be able to touch on that subject as well. So I'm going to give the next part of the program to Heidi Benjaminson, so she can tell you a little bit about the academics here, because in the end, that's why you're here, for the academics. We want to be able to transfer back a good transcript and something that you can use in your major. So Heidi.
Hello, everybody. I'm Heidi. Thanks, Krista. First, I wanted to introduce myself, not necessarily my name, which you already know, but just a little bit of background about myself. I was actually a study abroad student many years ago. I'm originally from North Dakota, and in the second half of my junior year at UND, I took the opportunity to study abroad at ACN. So I was there in the spring of 2004, which, when you do some scary math, that was 18 years ago. So I haven't been living in Norway that entire time, but I've kind of been bouncing in and out of Norway. So for those of you who are interested in global opportunities and where the world can take you, maybe you can look to me as where can the future take you? I certainly was not expecting to live in Norway, work in Norway, be married to a Norwegian back when I started my study abroad all those years ago, but that's just one of the amazing things that studying abroad can put in your lap. So that's a little bit about me, and I am the academic advisor, so I help students to basically figure out their next steps. What is going to happen for them after their year at ACN? So for the Norwegians, this largely means they are starting their higher education, and then they are looking to transfer to an American university. So I go through with them, where do you want to go? What do you want to study? And then we map out a plan to how to get the students there. One really nice benefit about ACN for any student, be they American, Norwegian, or anything else in the world, is that the application is very, very simple to apply. Now, if you've applied to any American universities before, or if you intend to do that in the future, I can tell you it is a much more complicated process with a lot more documents, a lot more steps, a lot more deadlines that need to be followed. So I'm there to kind of teach students what the process is and how they need to follow it. So if you're applying to American universities, do you need to get references written from academic references or personal references? Do you need to take specific tests like the SATs or anything like that? Now, for American students that are coming here, you know, I will offer plenty of support for them as well. But if they are already started a American education, then ACN just kind of slots nicely into a semester abroad for them. However, we have been seeing more and more American students who are starting their college education at ACN. So they don't have previous college experience, which is fine. As long as you've completed high school, you know, that's the most important part. And it is a really fun and exciting way to start out your journey to college. And as Krista mentioned, all the classes are in English, of course, but it's not just the studies in the classroom that is in English, because I know there's plenty of study abroad programs in the world that say, oh yes, it's all in English, but then you need to figure out how to pay tuition, for example, or you need to ask the landlord, oh, my hot water stopped working, I need to get this fixed. But that is where you run into problems where, oh gosh, I don't speak the local language. Now I really don't know what to do. It's absolutely not like that at ACN. It is a really close-knit community where you can get by in English perfectly well without Norwegian. So it's not just the in the classroom portion of your life that you will be in English. It's just the everyday, day-to-day administration of life that's also in English. Everybody at the school, you know, the default, as Krista said, is English. So this is quite necessary for the American students coming here who do not speak Norwegian, but I find it very, very helpful for the Norwegians because yes, they speak English fabulously, but operating in a day-to-day English environment really, really prepares Norwegian students for life in the USA, both academically, because yes, they speak great English, I think because they've been watching TV and movies their whole life in English, but the academic English day to day, yes, they've taken English courses throughout their life, but when they're taking things like psychology or history or biology, anything like that, it's really a different ball of wax when it is in English. So our English speaking environment is really fantastic for all parties involved. Now, the courses that we offer do change from year to year. And at the moment, we're hashing out what we will be offering in next academic year, 22-23. We hope to have that finalized soon. We do know what we're going to be offering this coming summer semester, but the courses that we offer fit into either general education requirements or elective requirements. Now, if you're not very familiar with the American education system, this is quite broad, but we'll just use this example. A degree, you have to take 125 credits worth of courses over 4 years, and they're broadly put into 3 equal categories that are pretty equal in size. You've got general education credits, you have got elective credits, and then you've got the courses that are towards your major or minor. So if you wanted to study business, for example, you'll have a large portion of business major courses. So the ones that we offer here vary from year to year, like I said, but they do fit into those general ed requirements or electives. And those are going to be required by every university, regardless of what your ultimate degree is. So we can answer more questions about that at the end if you have them, but just generally to keep in mind that yes, we've been running the program for 30 years or so, and the courses have every single semester looked a little bit differently, but they still fit into those same required categories. Krista also mentioned the small classes. And what's really good about that is that they're interactive and that you really get to have a personal connection with your professors. So they have office hours, they're always available, not 24/7 available, I should say, but you will always be able to get assistance if you need it, bounce off ideas, ask for help, that sort of thing. And if you were to attend a large American university, this isn't necessarily always the case. Because of our small, intimate environment, this really is more of a hands-on experience than if you were in a lecture class at a lot of universities, particularly in your first year of studies. You are sitting in a lecture theater with 200 to 300 people. And it's kind of hard to, raise your hand and ask a quick question in such a big, intimidating environment. So having that sort of small environment helps you to not just sit in a lecture and listen to them drone on and on, because that's all they can honestly fit into the time, but you participate in more presentations and discussions and group work and things like that. So it is a lot more hands-on educationally than you would find in a large lecture environment. Now, I'm not going to say too much about the next part, our field trip to Svalbard, but both Krista and Tara were they spent last week on the Arctic island of Svalbard, which is in the north of Norway, which is an amazing, fantastic, rare part of the world that most seasoned travelers have never actually even been there. It is so remote and so off the beaten path that it's just not on the tourist trail, basically. So for the past few years, I should say the past few years has been on pause, but for quite some time, we've offered a field trip course to Svalbard for credit, which has been very popular with students. And whenever they come back, they say, my mind is blown. I cannot believe what I've seen. This is amazing. I can't believe more people didn't go. So really exciting, interesting and unique courses like that we offer at American College, and particularly Svalbard is really a gem. Now, the final points that I am going to touch on is the schedule, both on a wider scale and a individual week-to-week scale of how we operate classes each semester. So we follow the US academic system. We have a fall semester, we have a spring semester, but it's even better. We have the best of both worlds because we celebrate both American and Norwegian holidays. So that's amazing. Americans, you might be surprised to learn about just how many holidays we get for Easter, for example. There are holidays that I had never even heard of growing up in the US, and I celebrated Easter. So we have plenty of holidays in addition to the Norwegian ones, or Norwegian ones and American ones together, which leaves a lot of opportunity for travel and experiencing life in a different country and experiencing you know, living with your new friends. So we have got courses that run Monday to Thursday. We work very, very hard to get our classes into 4 days a week, so we have long weekends. And they're allows you to travel within Norway or even travel to other parts of Europe. For those of you who are coming from the US, and it's, you know, not a normal thing to just pop on over to Paris for the weekend. It can absolutely be done here because we think that whilst you are studying, whether you come from Norway, whether you come from the US or anywhere, that your education doesn't just end at 5 p.m. when class ends. We want to see the education continue outside of the classroom, whether it be in the evenings and you're trying new cultural experiences in Norway, whether it's a long weekend that we have built for you, or if it's over a long Easter holiday. You know, we really encourage you to take advantage of those experiences so you can learn more about the world and learn about the people that you've never known before. So you might not see that from where you sit today, where you can go and where the future will take you. But I like to use myself as a personal example of, you really don't know what life has in store for you until you hop on it and see where the wind takes you. 18 years later, here I am. So that's all I had. If anybody has any questions, I will be here. So I'm sure Tammy will have more to say. She is an actual academic in the USA, so maybe she can expand or correct anything that I've said, but I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. So thanks for coming.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tammy Carmichael. I'm a professor at the University of North Dakota, and I coordinate our partnership with the American College of Norway, and I've taught there for many, many different semesters, many different years. In my head, Krista, I'm thinking that I have now been involved working directly with ACN for 22 years. Is that right? I think that's right. Something like that. I think. So I have quite a bit of experience from both sides, teaching there in Norway and working directly with Norwegian students, and also working with American students who are thinking about doing study abroad and how that fits into their whole program of study. And in addition to my ability to speak to the process and to talk a little bit about what classes are like from the professor's point of view, my son studied 2 semesters at American College of Norway, and so I have some sense of what his experience was like as a student. From a parent's perspective, I have information if there are any questions out there, any parents who are joining us today. But let's start with classes and learning at ACN. Heidi and Krista have covered everything beautifully in terms of the big picture, but I do know that students often wonder, what will classes themselves be like and what are professors expecting when I do this, whether I'm an American who wants this wonderful study abroad experience, but I'm really nervous about what expectations will be, or I'm a Norwegian student or an international student who is a little nervous about taking classes in English. So I can tell you just what Krista and Heidi said. These classes tend to be very interactive and they're small, which means that it's really easy to get help when you need it. And I can tell you that without a doubt, every professor who teaches at ACN is very aware of the fact that 2 things are happening in their classroom. One is that there are students who are approaching perhaps their first year, first semester of school, of higher education, and they're approaching it in a language that's not their native language. And we are all very aware of that and very comfortable working with those students and understanding that issue and helping them develop those English skills, but also creating assignments and classroom practices around the idea that we know the majority of our students are doing something new and they're doing it not in their native language. So it's fantastic that you have that opportunity. Often in study abroad scenarios and classes, a student will enter a class and they are in there with everybody else and the professor isn't necessarily always aware of those needs. So ACN's built around creating classes that have the same rigor and the same content as American classes do, but constructed in a way that it's very user-friendly for students in the category I just discussed. For students who are coming from the United States, we know that these are very motivated students. They have decided to study outside the United States and do all of the work that that takes. But we also know that while they're there, they're experiencing lots of new things. Homesickness, maybe, navigating the world in a different language outside of the classroom, meeting new people, and then of course wanting to travel and really get that full study abroad experience. And so we're also very aware of that. And we try to create content that addresses that and helps students grow that piece. But also for the most part, within certain parameters, we're all pretty flexible about helping students in ways that they need to be helped and allowing them time for the experiences that they want to have. So classes tend to have, classes themselves tend to have some content, maybe some lecture, lots of discussion. There will be some writing of papers. In some classes, there often are oral presentations or debates or field trips that students get to experience. And so I would say that overall, throughout all of the classes, there's a variety of different types of learning that happens so that students get the opportunity to play to their strength. And I know I mentioned writing papers, and I know that might like suddenly make people a little bit nervous. I would say that I've been a professor for way more than 22 years, and I'm an English professor actually by training. And I can tell you that I can't think that I've ever encountered a more supportive place to learn writing skills and speaking skills than at American College of Norway, because everyone there is so kind and understanding, and the professors understand where students are coming from and are there to help them. So I think it's one of the best supportive learning environments a student can be in. Summer school, so then that applies to all the classes that are taught throughout the year. I want to talk specifically, just quickly about summer school. I think there may be some of you out there who are thinking about summer school. Those classes, even more than the ones throughout the year, are really, really interactive. We have students for 4 days a week, and we have 3-hour classes. We teach 2 classes. One is on intercultural communications, and one is a course that I'm teaching called Oslo Hipsters to Vikings. And we study sort of the history of the development of cities and the country of Norway through the lens of Oslo and how it grew up. And for both of those courses, we take a weekly field trip and spend the entire day in Oslo, going to museums, attending events, walking around the city, looking at cultural and historical artifacts throughout the city. So it's incredibly hands-on learning and so much fun. Those 2 classes at the University of North Dakota do fulfill 2 of our general education categories. They fulfill a humanities credit and a social science credit. I know that may not be the case at every university, but at the University of North Dakota do fulfill those requirements. If there's anyone out there who has questions about that, I can speak to it later. And then I would finally like to say that another nice piece about attending American College of Norway from the more sort of process-oriented place that I come from in my head, where I'm helping students think about these things, is that transfer from Norway to American schools is really easy. Heidi spoke to you about all of the work she does to help students with applications and that sort of thing. But on our end, one of the nice things for ACN Norwegian students is you are getting a transcript from the US. So the University of North Dakota serves as the school of record, which means we stand behind the quality and content of every class. And we have to do that because we're accredited and we have to prove we do that. And so you get the same quality courses. They're transcribed by the University of North Dakota. And that makes the transition of those courses much easier, no matter what school you go to, even if it's not the University of North Dakota. For US students, the same is true. It would be like taking the summer to go visit your grandparents and take a couple college classes somewhere in the United States and then transfer those back. Or if you've taken college courses in your high school experience and you want to transfer those into wherever you're going. It's such an easy, similar process to do that. And I frequently do get calls from universities wanting a little more information on courses so they know how to transfer them. And I'm always happy to talk to any schools about that. And the fact that I'm based in the US, even though I'm often in Norway, the fact that I'm based in the US at a US institution means that I have the ability to speak with any university to discuss the quality and content of those courses so that the best decision can be made for how those transfer for students. So that's another nice piece for any of you, whether you're Norwegian coming to the US or students wanting to do study abroad who aren't at the University of North Dakota. If you are at UND and you're on right now, it couldn't be easier for you. You pay UND tuition to UND and you get a transcript from UND. So it's almost no different in terms of those things than if you stayed at the University of North Dakota. So that's what I have for now. I don't know if you have questions now, or maybe we'll save them till later, whatever anybody wants to do, but happy to answer any questions.
Tammy, maybe we could save some of the direct questions for a little later. I know that I see that Tanya Hedem has a question to you that she started in the chat, but maybe we could pick that up in a little while for some, because that seems a little bit more specific. But
sure.
Just kind of move on, because I don't know that everyone has the ability to stay for the full time. So if we could move over to the next portion, what Tara has, and then come back to questions for Tammy and any of us a little bit later, that'd be great.
Yeah, great. So my name is Tara. I am the marketing and event coordinator here at American College of Norway. I have been here since August, so I haven't been here for as long as some other people, but I want to tell you a little more about the ACN experience, as we have now talked about the academics and you have gotten to know the American College a bit, but I want to talk more about what it's actually like to study and live here. So as you see here in the background, it's actually the ACN cheer squad that we started in the fall. And as you can see, we're right in front of a lake. It looks like summer, but we will get back to that. I'm going to talk a bit about all the different events that we do here. But first and foremost, I wanted to tell you just briefly about Moss, which is the city where we are located. It's, as Krista said in the beginning, just south of Oslo, the capital of Norway. So it's just a short train ride from the capital, which means that students can go there often. For example, during the weekends or holidays when they want to, or weeknights even. It's really close. I live in Oslo, so I take the train every day. Super simple. So that's one good thing. And something else that we have already mentioned is that as a student here at ACN, you have a 3-day weekend. And I work very closely with the students, and I know that they appreciate this a lot. Having a 3-day weekend makes all the difference for students, I think. I remember I had it as myself as a student, and you just have more time to yourself. You have time to travel. You have time to explore Moss, do fun things with your new friends. And I know that the students really make the most out of their weekends here. And I think that's a great thing, because as Heidi said, it's also about learning outside the classroom. So during this 3-day weekend, you can, for example, travel. You can travel to different cities here in Norway. You can travel around Europe if you want to go out and explore, which we highly encourage. And we are here to help you. Just 2 weeks ago, we had winter break. We had some students that went to Scotland, Paris, Barcelona. I helped them to find flights and accommodation, etc. So that's also part of what I do. So I'm very happy to do that. And I'm passionate about traveling myself. So that's my pleasure. And then I just briefly wanted to mention, as we have already mentioned, the close-knit community that we do have here at ACN, as it is a small school, especially compared to American universities, which, I mean, it can't even compare. But because of that, it's so easy to make new friends here. I remember when we started the school year back in August, after welcome weekend, when we had a bunch of activities and fun things going on, I just felt like the students had already known each other forever. Like they were all already good friends. And I think that's partly because they all live together. I'm going to tell you a bit more about the dorms in a bit. But before that, I also wanted to just mention all the extracurricular activities that we do offer here at ACN. As we are an American college, we think that this is very important, and I know that students enjoy it a lot. So we have formed different committees and clubs, as you can see here. I mentioned a few of them. And it's really about the student experience. So if the students are into sports, if they are into art, we can form a club, we can form a committee, we hold meetings, we organize events, we can invite people, we can go on field trips, like really the sky's the limit here. And it's all about, you know, the students having the best year or semester of their lives. So we are here to make that happen. And yeah, that's another good thing about ACN, how small we are. We all get to know each other so well, and the students can come into my office or Heidi's office or Krista's office at any time if they have some issue or they need to talk or they need help with anything. I have helped students with so many different things, and that's also what we're here for. So I just wanted to mention that. But now I'm going to show you a bit, just some pictures from our events that we have done the past year since I started. So we have some events that we do every fall semester and every spring semester. For example, in the fall, we have a welcome weekend. Then we have a homecoming week. Like in the US, we have a homecoming dance with homecoming royalty. There you see the cheer squad. And then later on, we have our haunted house, which is a big Halloween event that we do every year. We invite the entire city to come and visit our haunted house. The students are actors. We decorate the entire school. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a great experience, I think. And as you see down to the right, that's from our Thanksgiving dinner, which students and staff and faculty participated in. It was a lovely evening too. And for some of the, or for most of the Norwegian students, I think it was the first time they experienced Thanksgiving. So it's also fun that we get to know these different holidays and traditions in both the US and Norway. And then you see another picture from a ski trip that we did with some students. You see a student playing paddle, which is quite a popular sport here in Scandinavia. So we'll do a lot of things. The academics are important, but we do a lot more than study at ACN. And you have a rich student life here to look forward to as a student. But now I want to tell you a bit more about the dorms. So I would say that maybe 95% of our students live on campus, and we always recommend students to do this, whether you're Norwegian or American, it doesn't matter. From our experience, it's the best for the students to live on campus. For several reasons. It's the dorms are super close to the school. It's, I would say, a 2-minute walk maybe. So it's very convenient for students. And the dorms are actually located in a renovated industrial area from the turn of the century. But they are very modern on the inside, as you can see here down below. Very light and just nice and modern. We have 2 students per apartment. We usually pair a Norwegian with an American. So that's great, especially in the beginning. The American student might need help with some things, and then the Norwegian student can help with that. And it's also a great way to make new friends. That's usually how people get to know each other in the beginning, because they live together. But you do have your own bedroom, and that's very nice. That might be different from dorms in the US. But here you have your own bedroom, and then you share the kitchen and the bathroom, the living area. But it's nice to have your own bedroom. You can close your door at the end of the day if you need some privacy or anything. So that was a little about the dorms. And then, as Tammy already talked about, summer school. I just wanted to mention it briefly. We're still accepting applications to summer school. And if you're already enrolled in the US, it's very easy to apply. And as we said, the credits transfer back. It's 4 weeks. You see the dates here. And in those 4 weeks, you can receive up to 6 US credits if you choose to take both of the courses. Yeah, I mean, Tammy already talked about them, but the classes are small and interactive. You go on field trips. You only have classes from Monday to Thursday, so you can travel during the weekends. That's typically what our summer school students do. So it's just a great experience if you want to, you know, the past 2 years it's been COVID, maybe you want to get out, see something new, have a fun summer, but still do something kind of useful as you receive credits. I think this is the perfect experience. And summer in Norway, from my own experience, is just amazing. Norway is a great place to be in summer, and Oslo, which you can see here in this photo in the background, is a beautiful summer city. It's surrounded by water. You have the Oslo fjord. In the background here, you see the opera house. You can go up on the roof. You have a nice view of the city. And Moss, also where we are located, is by the Oslo fjord. So summer school students love to go swimming in the evenings or in the afternoon when classes are done. It's green everywhere. It's just beautiful in summer. Temperatures are great. You don't have to worry about Norway being too cold. So summer is a great time to come here. So if you haven't yet applied for summer school, I would highly encourage you to do so. Of course, if you have any questions, we can take them at the end, or you can always reach out to us after as well. I also coordinate the summer school, so you can send any questions to me. But I don't think I'm gonna go on for much more, but now we are going actually to move on to two of our students. We have two students with us today. Selena, who graduated from University of Tampa last year. She was with us here a couple of years ago now. And then we also have current student, Victoria, who is with us. So thank you both for being with us today. I think maybe we will start with Selena, if you wanted to tell us a little bit about your experience both at ACN and from the US, if you have any recommendations to people that are thinking of coming to ACN. What was your experience like?
Yes. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Right. So I'm Selena, and I graduated last May with a bachelor in biology at the University of Tampa, and I'm currently taking my master's here in Oslo. So yeah, super connected to Norway and America. I'm half American, half Norwegian. So I grew up in the States, and then I moved here when I was a teenager. And then during the time when I was trying to find out what I was going to do for university, I kind of was a little bit lost and was super spontaneous, honestly. I was just like, okay, I'm going to go to America because not everything was working out here in Oslo, or in Norway. So then it was, yeah, I just Googled like American degrees biology, and then ACN popped up, and I was like, oh, interesting. And for me, it was like a nice choice because it was a good transition to not just directly jump into being in the States, but like have a year where you can really understand how the school system works over there. Because after having been going to school here in Norway during high school and such, it's quite different, I would say. And so it's really nice to kind of dip your toes in and get to see what professors are going to be expecting of you, because it's pretty different and it's a lot more, it's a really different relationship, I would say. So that was really, really good to just have like that time to get used to it before being over in the States. And then I really liked how they have the dorms right on campus. It's a really fun time for all the students, I would say. You get like really connected to everyone there because you're seeing them every day in class, and then you're going home and they're all there, and super easy to yeah, just get in touch with anyone if you're doing schoolwork after school or want to hang out. And I really like that part because it's not the same here in Norway, that part either, unless you go to usually like folkehøyskole or something like that. So I would say, like, if you're just going to university in Norway, it's not like a dorm situation. You don't get that same type of experience. And when you go to the States, you'll understand even more what that is like. It's really living on top of everyone, and but it's really fun too. I wouldn't like. It's almost like what makes going to college in America one of the like best parts is like it's so different from things that are happening over here in Norway and Europe. So it's nice to kind of like get introduced to that as well. And I would say that ACN makes it so easy to get into the States, because I have a couple friends that they just kind of applied directly as a new student to American colleges, and they had to do a lot more work than I had to do. So they were going to, they had to do like TOEFL tests, they had to do SATs, they had to do ACTs, they had to do so many different things. But going to ACN, you really get to, you're literally a American student with American credits, and so schools are so much more like accepting of it and just being like, oh yeah, this is fine, you're in. And so in that way, it's like really nice to not have to deal with so much stress when it comes to all the different American general standardized testing and etc., because those are pretty, they're their own thing. It's totally, yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to do so much of that, even though I know that some schools might have to take the SATs anyway. But I also had some help from a company called Sonar that I feel ACN has a nice connection to. And by ACN having their partner schools and Sonar having their partner schools, I really got to kind of narrow down my search in which university I want to go to, because I also was kind of like, since it was so spontaneous, I really didn't know what school I wanted to go to. But having some schools that you can kind of like start doing your research, like, do they have the type of program that I want to study? Like, do they have the type of environment that I want to be in, and everything like that. So being able to just have some examples and then maybe even just like branch out from there if they're not exactly what you want, it's like a really nice way to start, because you look up on some of those websites and it says like 5,000 universities and you're like, whoa, I don't even know where to begin. So ACN is really good at like having that nice like introduction into some schools, and then you can branch away if you find something more interesting. And yeah, I would say I had a really great experience at ACN and also in the States. I'm still in touch with people that I went to ACN with, and it's really fun to have that connection. And yeah, it was I had a really great time, so I definitely recommend it, and I don't think you can go wrong with it, whether you're Norwegian coming in because you really like want to go over to the States, or if you're American and wanting to experience something else, because the exchange students that we had, they're amazing people, and we got to travel with them, and yeah, it was a really good time. You get a lot of great memories going to the school. So if anyone has any questions later, you can always reach out. Not sure how much more I should say, but yeah.
This was great. Thank you for this. If you notice in the picture on your left-hand side under Selena, we have proof that she at least bought the graduation hat and
I actually have it right here.
All right. In the beautiful white dress, that's Selena graduating from the University of Tampa. And so Selena has, like many other students, have kindly offered to help us if students have questions. And now I just heard it again. She said she'd be happy to answer questions. So if even after this time, if you want to pose a question to us, and we'll pass it along to Selena, and I'm sure she'd be happy to answer that. But as an American/Norwegian, you have some insights into both worlds. So thank you so much for telling us about that tonight, Selena.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So Tara, I didn't know if you wanted to introduce Victoria.
Yeah, of course. So now we're going to meet our current student, Victoria. She's from the US, and she has been here since the fall. She's here for a full year. So she's really in the ACN experience right now. So Victoria, maybe you could share a bit with us what it's been like so far, what you like about ACN, how it is to come to Norway as an American. Yeah, just what your experience has been like.
Yeah, so I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, but I am half Norwegian, so I have a ton of family here. So I always knew I wanted to come here, but this just seems like the best opportunity for study abroad because it's a small group and you still speak English. So it wasn't intimidating at all coming in here. It was a very comfortable transition from the US. And also I'm 18, so this is my first year of college, and again, was not overwhelming at all. This is totally doable to come right from high school, and it was very simple process to apply. So probably my favorite thing is just the community that I built here with all the students and the staff. They're very involved in your education, and it's clear that they truly want to see you succeed. And in addition to what the staff can help you with in the school, you just learn so much outside of the classroom, which was mentioned earlier in the presentation, but just being able to travel easier and just be in a new situation, like straight out of high school, it's such a good opportunity for growth, and you can just see the world from a different perspective and get to try new things. So you're just evolving at a much faster rate. So aside from the educational credits that you get that you can transfer to wherever, I think spending a year at ACN really added a lot of value to my life overall.
Thank you, Victoria. That was great. And again, I kind of gave Selena the American Norwegian title here, but you are also American and Norwegian. And I do know that you just came back from some long travels. Thank goodness this is getting past. So you were recently in, where were you? Want to tell us?
I was in Scotland and France for 8 days.
And that just seems like random choices, but that's the way you can do it when you're in Europe. And Norway is at the top of everything, so you just kind of can float down to different places.
Very short flights. It was so easy.
Kind of a surprise. It's like you're going to Maine from Massachusetts, and there you are, right? And speaking a different language. So that's one of the things that I love that our students are able to do. And like I said, thank goodness that there's travel available to students right now. But you have gotten to know another American student that you're friends with here as well. So it's not just getting to know Norwegians. And as the semester changed, you two decided that you know, some students are only here for a semester, so then you two moved in together. So I can see you guys being friends for life, maybe neighbors as you grow up.
Definitely, yeah.
But you're involved in a lot of the committees as well. I saw you here into the wee hours of the morning decorating for Halloween, and you are also in the picture at the right-hand side as one of the cheer girls there. You're all the way on the right? On the bottom? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I really feel like I've been lucky to get to know you mostly through the activities that you've been involved in. I unfortunately don't get to see students as in the academic sense of it, but it's just fun to see people around the school and getting involved in things. It's also a really nice way to be able to build a resume, add some things to any kind of scholarship opportunity that you might want to apply for later on. And as you might imagine, any kind of international experience is going to help you grow personally. I've been there, I've done it, albeit a long time ago. I studied at the University of Trondheim. I learned more about America in that 1 year than I did living in America for 19 years, right? So you kind of take a look from the outside. It's so important. So all of the classes that we're offering here, whether it's a class that you've heard of, so say international politics or comparative politics, also has that little twist in it that we're talking about Norway as well. We're adding the Norwegian element, and that can also help us to, in discussions, Norwegian students, a lot of the students have been in the military first, so they're bringing that into discussions. So our group, while they're by and large Americans and Norwegians, they're bringing a lot to the table, and everybody's learning something. So anything else you want to tell us, Victoria, about your time here that you can think of, or you can jump in later if people have questions?
I think a lot of it was covered, but yeah, definitely the committees are worth your time for sure, because it gets you like a chance to spend time at the school with people, but you're not like sitting listening to a lecture, but you're still kind of all working together towards something that's gonna like benefit everyone. So it's been a really nice experience. We did like the little cheer club, and then I also started like a wellness club, which was fun. We did that for most of the first semester. And of course, like activities committee is like a no-brainer to do, because you get to plan the events for everyone, and that's just really fun. And then you can see your hard work paying off with everyone enjoying what you put together, and Tara runs that, so it's really nice to be able to work with her and learn from her. So definitely another good like learning opportunity that's not just sitting in class.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so I think the next slide is actually the Q&A. So if people have any questions, you are free to unmute yourself or write them in the chat. Please don't be scared. I see that we do have some questions in the chat. Some of them were already answered, I think. Let's see. So Tammy put her email there if anyone wants to reach out to her. Let's see.
Tara, I see that Julia has a time constraint since you have to get to join another Zoom, but your question was about if there's a meal plan for summer, and there is not. We don't have a meal plan. Our apartments have a full kitchen, and all of the kitchen things are available to you to choose and cook your own food. But we have people here who will help you to make good choices, go through the grocery store, do all of that kind of shopping, give you ideas. And there's plenty of options for dietary restrictions, that kind of thing. So we help you as much as you can. As we can. Also, you said how much average you spend weekly. That's a good question. You're thinking about food maybe at that time. I don't know, Victoria, have you ever thought about that? Or Selena, do you remember?
For me, I think I have to like convert it from like kroners to US dollars, but I think in US dollars it's probably around like $70 a week. I do have some like dietary restrictions, so that definitely raises the price for buying like dairy-free or gluten-free or something like that. But yeah, I would say no more than 100, like probably around like $60, $70.
Felt like I spent maybe like $200 a month
There are several types of options for purchasing groceries here. There are some greengrocers here that have wonderful fruit that's maybe or international things that are a little less expensive than a typical grocery store. Plus, you can shop some sales, or students go together and buy, a bulk item. So there's lots of good tips to work out to make it less expensive here, because eating out is expensive in Norway. So students tend to dine together, maybe 3-4 people, or do weekend taco party or something like that. So students get creative.
Okay, I saw that Amy asked a question about the classes, but I see that Tammy answered that question, that you can find all of the classes on the UND website with the course numbers. Just search for the American College of Norway. But we also have all of our classes on our website. We don't have all of the classes for fall yet, though. As Heidi mentioned, we're still working on that, but we will update it as soon as we have all of the classes finalized. Then I
just wanted to mention that I think that the classes should be close to finalized within the next 2 weeks, and we'll put them up there. If anyone has expressed an interest here, we'll make sure that we send them to you as well as soon as we get them, but they will be posted on our website, as you mentioned.
Yeah, great. Okay, are there any other questions? Oh, I see a question about a packing list for international students. Well, as we have mentioned, the apartments are furnished with even all the things you need in the kitchen. So as for that, you don't need to bring a lot for your apartment. And if you need anything, you can buy everything here. That's usually easier.
Can I chime in on packing lists? So as a 2-time study abroad student myself, and I've been working in the field of study abroad for many years now, the adage is, okay, pack everything that you are planning to use for the semester or for however long you're going. So pack what you want, take out half of it, and then take out half of it again. And that's what you should do. So, because you never know what you're going to actually acquire during your study semester, during your travels. So really the most important thing to bring is your day-to-day necessities. So clothes, if you're coming from a warm climate in the USA, you're going to need, jackets and good treads on your shoes. With that said, we have fabulous thrift stores here in Moss, and even in Oslo, they're out of this world amazing, that are very, very affordable. So if you don't come equipped with long underwear and that sort of thing, it is quite widely available, surprisingly cheaply here. And other things that you're going to need to bring along is any prescription medication, because that is really difficult to, I'll just go across to another country and find a doctor to write me a prescription. Absolutely not. So that you want to bring a supply that's long enough for your stay. Additionally, any over-the-counter medication that you might need. Like, for example, I've got American cough drops here because I love Norway. It's great living here, but the cough drop situation here is not as good as it is in America. So just things like that. I mean, have a look at your day-to-day life, makeup that you wear, or anything that you just use on a day-to-day basis. That's what you want to bring, and you want to bring as little as possible, because yes, the airline might give you, 2 times 40 kilos worth of suitcases, but you want to leave a lot of room as much as possible for on the way back, because you're going to want to bring souvenirs and things that you've accumulated over the way. So as far as packing lists, don't overthink it, because like sheets, towels, that sort of thing, you don't need to worry about. So really the clothes on your back, any medications that you're taking, pretty simple stuff actually.
And I would add to that, Heidi, if you're thinking about what to bring, almost all of the classes the texts are e-texts or are available as e-texts. So you almost never have any textbooks that you need to bring over from the United States. You're usually able to get everything you need either in Norway or it's available electronically. So you don't have to worry about that. Tara, there's a question there about the breakdown between like how many Norwegian students and whatnot. So maybe address that one, especially for summer school.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, most of our students are American or Norwegian or a mix of the two, but we have had students of other nationalities. We're not restricted to just Norwegian and American students, so any student can apply to ACN, but most of our students are from either Norway or the US. But yeah, we have had students from other countries in the past.
I would say
it's about 25-75. So about 25% of our students are American and the rest are Norwegian.
Except in the summer. The summer, it's much more heavily American. At least it has been over the last few years. But what I would say about that is you may have 1 or 2 Norwegians in the mix. You're definitely going to be meeting a lot of Norwegians who come and go through the doors of ACN, so you'll have that interaction. But another fun thing that we have found is that students in the summer session come from all over the United States. And the friendships and information that's shared between those groups of students from Mayville, North Dakota, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or Nashville, Tennessee, or whatever, those are fun relationships. And I know I've taught summer session multiple times, and I'm friends with students on social media, and I see like students from Philadelphia coming to Mayville to check out North Dakota or to be in somebody's wedding or to travel together. So that's a fun piece too.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy. So I'm looking at the next question here, which is how long after sending everything do we get the answer about getting in? Which is a good question and a relevant one that we have been getting from a couple of students. Krista, maybe you want to address this question?
Yeah, we have a priority deadline for applications, and that's May 1st. So we wanted to make sure that everything got into place and to check our applications. But if once we get all of your documents and everything is in place, you should hear something by April 15th at the latest about getting in or not. If we haven't contacted you with anything that you're missing for documents, then you should be ready to go. And as soon as we're announcing our acceptances, you'll get something right away. And I see that you asked also about the living in the dorms. That was also something that came up. And if you automatically get to live in the dorms, you will have to apply for the dorm situation, but it's not a problem. We'll just send out, once you're accepted, we'll send you out a form that you fill out and say, yes, I want to live in the dorms. And these are the types of rooms that you can choose from. And then you sign it and send it back, or scan it and send it back.
Yeah, great. And then we have a question about if it's a good idea to send in the application for the fall semester sometime before the deadline. And yes, that is always a good idea. It's always a good idea to be ahead of things because, as Kristen mentioned, there are some documents that you need to submit. After submitting your application on our website, you will receive an email stating a few documents that you need to send to our email, which you see here on the screen, info@americancollege.no. And sometimes it might, it's not a lot of, there are not a lot of documents to send in, but it could maybe take some time for you to get them. So it's good to be on top of things and not do everything last minute. That's something we highly recommend.
The thing is, for American students, that if a visa is required, you want to get started on that, and we want to be able to tell you A, B, C, D, and do them in that order. And if you have more time, it's just a more relaxing experience for you.
Yeah, definitely. And then we just got another question here, if you have math courses or not. And no, we do not have math courses here, but that doesn't prevent you from taking math courses once you go to the US. So as we have mentioned, the courses you take here fit into your general education requirements. So then after that, you can really go on to study anything you want. There's not a limit because you don't take math the first year. It doesn't mean that you can't take math after that. It's just that we don't offer it here, but you can very well continue with math in the US.
Tara, let me just mention one thing briefly about that. So one of our partner universities, Mayville State, does offer the course online. However, that would require an additional tuition charge. So if it is a course that you needed to take immediately, we could work that out. But it, last time I checked, it's about $1,000 US. So, and because it is, you know, an external course that is taken, then it wouldn't be covered by the regular ACN tuition. So I just wanted to point out, yes, it's not something that we offer as part of our regular courses, but there is an opportunity for those who really need to take the course.
And I'd also like to mention that in case the question was asked because someone does not want to take math, you might not need to, depending upon what you are going to study in the United States. So math might not be part of your requirements for a bachelor's degree. I'm sorry, Tammy, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Nope. Sorry, I can't see everybody, so I didn't see you starting to speak. I was going to say, for students coming from the US, if a question like that should be on somebody's mind, like I need a required course and I don't think you're going to be offering it, more and more frequently now, especially since online education has become so much more regular, students have a nice opportunity to be at ACN taking ACN classes, but maybe they take one class still through their home institution online, a math class or a required course or something like that, so that they can sort of stay on track with their program. So that's something that frequently happens as well.
Thank you, Tammy. So we just got another question here about the summer program. I don't know who can answer this question, maybe Krista or Tammy. Do you have any insights about this?
Are you thinking of the next year's program? Is this Tanya? Is this asking about when we have the classes? Yeah, I answered upstairs. Upstairs, up a little bit.
Oh, right.
I just wrote yes. So you're correct there. But
The timing would be the same.
Yeah. Yep. And we usually try to wait until after the 17th of May, Norway's Constitution Day, so everybody here gets all set. And there's 1 week between the end of our spring semester and then summer school. So it's mid-edge of May to mid-June.
Okay, I believe we actually applied a couple of summers ago, but it was in July and it got canceled. So that's why I think I was curious to see.
One off because of COVID. We had hoped that the regulations would change by the time the end of the summer rolled around, but
Right. So thank you for that, and that'll help us to make decisions and plan.
Great. We got another question about the courses that we will offer in the fall. And as we mentioned previously, we are working on that right now, and we will probably have it all finalized in a couple of weeks. And then we will post it on our website and on our social media and everywhere. So you will know about it soon. As we said, the courses change a bit from semester to semester, but yeah, we will know this very soon. So you can find the information then. Okay. Are there any other questions? I see that many people had to leave. They had to go to class or other meetings. But again, we just want to thank you all that were here. If anyone...
I see one more question, Tara, and Arcana is asking about school ID. Can we send it by mail along with the essay? I'm not sure what you mean by school ID. Are you thinking of... you send it by mail or along with the essay. Anything that we've required from you for documentation can be sent, scanned and sent. If it's an original document we would require you to typically bring it with you by the start of school, but you can always start out by scanning and sending something if that answers your question.
Okay, unless there are any other questions, we're not so many people left here, but yeah, I think we can wrap it up. Thank you all so much for attending. And we have recorded these sessions. We will post it on our YouTube channel probably tomorrow and share it everywhere. We might email it to everyone as well. So